The league is standing on a precipice. Luka Dončić touching down in Los Angeles wasn't just a blockbuster headline. It was a tectonic shift that shattered the status quo. And now Giannis Antetokounmpo just lit the fuse.
I told my agent, get me to Luka, no excuses.
Yeah, you heard me. The Greek freak and his camp are grinding in the shadows, orchestrating a massive power play to ensure he lands in purple and gold right next to Doncic. And forget the tabloid noise, I'm about to break down the exact blueprint his team is using to pull this off. Once you see the pattern, you'll never view this trade deadline through the same lens. If you think this is just some fantasy basketball pipe dream wake-up, you're missing the big picture. Sure, stars get swapped. Players weigh their options. That's standard business. But a two-time MVP, a champion, openly flirting with an exit from the only home he's ever known, that changes everything. So let's dissect how this evolved from Reddit threads to serious conversations inside actual front offices. First, Doncic to the Lakers. That wasn't just a wild move. It was a historic anomaly. It didn't just put him in the uniform, it completely reset the NBA's clock. Instead of battling for MVP votes in Dallas, he's the new king of LA. And this is crucial for Giannis. In this league, timing is the only currency that matters. When a superstar lands on the market immediately after another icon settles into a global market like Los Angeles, the pieces start falling into place. But here is the twist. It's not just about sharing the floor with Doncic. Giannis has been locked in serious discussions regarding his future in Milwaukee for months. Shams Charania over at ESPN reported that Antetokounmpo and his rep are sitting across from management, figuring out if he's staying for the long haul or looking for the exit.
Malika, sources tell me that Giannis Antetokounmpo and his agent Alex Saratis have started open conversations that are active right now.
No ink is dry yet, but the mere existence of these meetings is seismic. For the first time in his career, the Greek freak is looking past the horizon of being a Buck for life. And don't get it twisted, this didn't start yesterday. Multiple outlets confirmed Giannis was scouting big markets back in 2020. Miami? The Dallas Mavericks? They were all on the radar before he recommitted to Milwaukee and grabbed that ring. But analyze the timeline for a second. Luka was already the face of the franchise in Dallas. He was already playing at an MVP caliber, running the show, already hailed as the next generational great. So when Giannis was considering Dallas, he wasn't looking at an empty roster. He was staring directly at a partnership with Luka. That desire didn't vanish, it just went underground. Now, with the Lakers involved, it's clear he's been chasing that duo for years. Look, I get it. It feels strange to even discuss Giannis on the block. He built that house. He brought a championship to the city. Historically, his loyalty is ironclad, but loyalty doesn't stop the league from evolving without you. Milwaukee is slipping. His contract offers an escape hatch. And Giannis is finally asking himself what he wants his legacy to look like. That is where the narrative gets compelling. Stop looking at this like a trade simulator and start viewing it through the lens of human ambition. Giannis targeting Luka isn't random. It's the culmination of something that's been building for years right in plain sight. Listen to how Giannis talks about Luka. It's different. Whenever that name drops, the respect is palpable, bordering on excitement. You see it at All-Star Weekend. The interaction, the banter, the chemistry, it never feels PR trained. It feels like game recognizing game.
Luka! Magic, I want magic now. Now this is the time. Come on. I want it.
He's gone on record praising Doncic's basketball IQ multiple times.
He's an incredible player, incredible talent. Arguably, probably one of the most talented players I've ever seen in my lifetime. It's unbelievable what he can do for himself and his team.
He talks about Luka's vision, seeing the play before it manifests, controlling the tempo without needing to be the fastest or strongest guy on the hardwood. That means something coming from the Greek freak, a man who knows exactly what it's about, understanding the grind. The burden of carrying a franchise on your back, night after night. So when Giannis gives Luka his flowers, it's not lip service. It's recognition. Real recognizes real. And this goes beyond the American news cycle. European outlets have grouped Giannis and Luka together for years as the twin pillars of the continent. They aren't just rivals, they are the vanguard. Two distinct styles, two separate lanes, but carrying the exact same heavy load. When analysts talk about the game going global, those two names are always spoken in the same breath. That matters. Giannis sees himself clearly in that expanding landscape. He's been vocal about it. He wants European talent shining under the brightest lights in the biggest cities.
I want all the Europeans to go to all the big markets, to see something incredible. This is what I want. This is my dream.
He has pushed for them to be respected as the faces of the league, not just skilled imports who happen to be foreign. Luka embodies that vision perfectly. They share the same background pressure, the same heavy expectations, and the understanding that when you step on that floor, you represent an entire nation, not just a jersey. Here's the detail people miss: the desire to join forces is mutual. Reports suggest Luka has already been working the phones internally, asking the Lakers brass to make a run at Giannis.
Luka Dončić asked the Lakers to try and acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo. I can tell you that the Lakers inquired and Luka Dončić himself inquired, trying to see if the Lakers could work out a deal with the Milwaukee Bucks via Fox News' Lou Canellis.
Now, with Luka entrenched in Los Angeles and Giannis standing at a career crossroads, what felt like a pipe dream suddenly looks inevitable. We need to circle back to Giannis' comments about wanting Luka in LA and Europeans taking over the big markets. At the time, it sounded playful, casual, like he was just riffing. But the timeline shifts the entire context, because when those words left his mouth, Luka was already wearing purple and gold. What makes this fascinating is the difference in reception. American media largely brushed it off as a soundbite, just a superstar having a laugh. But across the Atlantic, the press took it as gospel. They saw it as Giannis laying out a manifesto, a declaration about European players seizing the league's biggest stages. It was about influence, visibility, legacy. It isn't just about Luka. It is about a shift in power, with European stars taking command of a league that hasn't always given them their due respect. What sounded like a breezy comment back then now looks like intention meeting opportunity. We aren't talking about forum rumors anymore. We are witnessing the potential formation of a dynasty that could shatter the NBA's balance of power. And when I say shatter, you have to understand the gravity of the situation. Luka landing in Los Angeles didn't just fill a roster spot. It rewrote the franchise's DNA. For a decade, LeBron James was the sun everything orbited around. He dictated the timeline, the gravity, and made the Lakers the center of the sports world. But the king is in his twilight, and the league senses it. Luka didn't just put on a uniform, he stepped into a power vacuum. Everything now revolves around him. The Lakers went from a team in limbo to the most compelling project in basketball. Here's why that hooks Giannis. First off, Luka is young, scary young for a superstar with that resume. He is also ruthlessly skilled and malleable. He doesn't force you to change your game. He adapts to it. That is massive for Giannis. The Greek freak isn't looking to carry a dead carcass to the finish line alone. He wants a partner who elevates him. Luka checks every single box. Let's be real, the Lakers didn't just secure a star, they secured a decade. Most franchises would kill to have a generational talent like Luka locked down with the war chest to build a contender. For Giannis, that is a green light in the dark. It is a place where he can land and build something monstrous with a peer he actually respects. The way Luka attracts talent is fundamentally different from LeBron. LeBron recruited with power and narrative weight. Luka pulls stars through basketball logic, fit spacing, and chemistry. He is the type of player a guy like Giannis looks at and thinks, I can feast here, I can win here. That is the difference. This isn't a team built on ego. It is a team built on how the game is actually played. The post-LeBron era could have been a wasteland. Instead, Luka changed the calculus. He made Los Angeles a destination for a killer like Giannis, someone chasing history, not just a paycheck. If you are paying attention, the pieces are already moving. The Lakers are now... This isn't just a rebuild. It's an overnight evolution into the league's deadliest, most magnetic force. And the catalyst is simple: Luka. He's the variable that changes the equation. Luka in Los Angeles doesn't just polish the Lakers' shine, it fundamentally shrinks Milwaukee's stature. It changes the perspective. Giannis carved out a monument in Wisconsin. He has the hardware, the ring, the MVPs, the legacy. But even at the summit, the Bucks are hitting a ceiling. Let's talk about the postseason reality. Even with Giannis playing like a god, that ceiling in Milwaukee is made of concrete. Look at the track record. 2021, they kicked the door down and won it all. Historic. But 2022, sent home in the second round by Boston. Didn't matter that Giannis was averaging a monstrous 34.5 points, 11 boards, and 5 assists. Then came 2023, the Celtics again, their kryptonite. This time, it wasn't a fight. It was a sweep in the conference finals. The league figured out the blueprint. Giannis is a force of nature, but he sees the walls closing in. One championship was legendary, but it didn't build the dynasty he's hungry for. And let's be honest about the roster. The supporting cast isn't built for war. This isn't the 2021 crew with Middleton and Holiday. This current group grinds, sure, but they can't take the weight off his shoulders. Miles Turner is solid, protects the paint spaces the floor. Kyle Kuzma can get you buckets. But look deeper. You're relying on Cole Anthony and Gary Trent Jr. Nice complementary pieces maybe, but not the heavy hitters you need to contend for a title year in, year out. Then you look at the financials and the walls get tighter. The Bucks are buried under the cap deep in the luxury tax. That means their hands are tied. They can't shuffle the deck without losing serious value. There is no wiggle room to add star power without shipping out massive contracts or draft capital. And with the money tied up in Turner, Kuzma, Portis, and the mid-level guys, a major move is practically a fantasy. The numbers don't bluff. Last season, Milwaukee posted a plus 3.1 net rating with Giannis on the floor. They were winning those minutes by 3 points per 100 possessions. But the second he sat, they cratered to a minus 0.3. That swing isn't just a stat. It's an indictment. Their survival is entirely tethered to his presence. And if you check the early data from this season, the picture gets sharper. With Giannis, they're cruising at a plus 4.5. Without him, they bleed out, dropping into the red at minus 1.2. Plain English, Giannis checks in, they have a pulse. He checks out, they flatline. Doesn't matter if it's scoring, getting stops, or just staying competitive. That level of reliance isn't the foundation of a dynasty. It's the profile of a solo act carrying a franchise. And then you have the attrition factor, losing guys in the clutch. Lillard's absence earlier this year peeled back the curtain on their fragility. Even with Giannis putting up MVP numbers, the roster lacks the elite stoppers or shot makers you see on true contenders. Defenses know the drill. They know Giannis is coming, so they swarm the paint, clog the lanes, and dare the shooters. Without a second superstar to create offense or punish the help, the system becomes predictable. Predictable gets you killed deep in the playoffs. You step back and look at the whole picture, and you realize Milwaukee has done its job. They got him the ring. But they aren't the soil where multiple titles grow. And they can't offer the lethal partnership Giannis needs, the kind he'd find with Luka. That's why the Lakers with Luka already entrenched and the promise of a generational duo look like the only move that matters. But here's the real question. What does that chemistry actually look like on the hardwood? Talking about a super team is easy. Visualizing Giannis and Luka operating in sync is terrifying. Giannis is already a kinetic nightmare. He hits the lane like a runaway train, cleans the glass guards 1 through 5, and anchors the defense. But even he runs out of road in the half court. Teams pack the paint, send bodies his way, and force him into tough contested jumpers. That's inefficient. Enter Luka. The guy is a grandmaster in the half court. He dissects coverages before they set, manipulates the help, and puts the ball exactly where Giannis needs it on the roll, the cut, or the slip. That vision transforms a standard pick and roll into a math problem with no solution. Giannis is already a problem because of his length and motor. But historically, Milwaukee has never really had a floor general who could unlock that pick and roll magic. But Luka, he's built for it. In the clutch, Giannis can act as the battering ram, while Luka stretches the floor, dragging defenders out to deep water, or carving up lanes for the Greek freak to dominate. I'm not the only one seeing this. Gilbert Arenas broke it down, throwing his full weight behind a Giannis and Luka partnership. He went on record saying that if you pair those two up, they are locking down a championship within a couple of seasons.
You put him and Luka, within 2 to 3 years, they're winning a championship. He's averaged 30 points a game, 11 rebounds, 6 assists for the last 5 years.
Why does it work simple? Right now, Giannis is carrying the entire franchise on his back, scoring, defending, everything, and Luka's elite shot-making and vision would instantly shoulder that heavy lifting. Just look at the numbers. Giannis is dropping 31.2 points and grabbing 11.5 boards, but his efficiency takes a hit. The second defenses wall him off. Luka solves that. He opens up the court and makes the game easy. And defensively, Luka doesn't need to be a stopper because the roster construction protects him. Giannis patrols the paint, smothers wings, and completely owns transition defense. Luka just needs to be an offensive threat that gravity pulls defenders away. The modern rulebook makes this pairing even more lethal because spacing is king. The pace is frantic and officials are calling it tighter than ever. Luka thrives because he dictates the tempo and forces rotations. Giannis feasts downhill in the vacuum Luka leaves behind. Combine them and you get what insiders call unfair math. It is the ultimate blend of range vision and interior force that defenses have no answer for. And listen, this isn't just fantasy basketball talk. There is a blueprint for this. The league's history books are filled with superstar tandems that shifted the balance of power once the chemistry clicked. Look at Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Jordan was clearly the assassin, but Pippen was the skeleton key, defending, facilitating, and doing the dirty work that turned the Bulls into a dynasty. Then you had the Shaq and Kobe era in LA. Shaq owned the paint, Kobe owned the perimeter and stretched the floor. Together they were a spacing nightmare. But it wasn't a fairy tale from day one. Kobe had to mature, learn patience, and find his rhythm next to the diesel. Fast forward to the Heatless in Miami. LeBron and Wade were both alpha scorers who needed the ball. To reach the mountaintop, they had to split duties, sacrifice stats, and trust each other when the game was on the line. That super team proved that stars could dictate their own futures without waiting for a front office to get it right. Rewind even further to Magic and Kareem. One ran the show, the other finished it. Different eras, different games, but the roles were perfectly defined. It worked because everyone stayed in their lane, and they stayed together long enough to build a legacy. That is why Giannis and Luka isn't just a random theory. Luka fixes the half-court stagnation Giannis has battled for years. Giannis covers the defensive lapses so Luka doesn't have to. One bends the defense with IQ. The other breaks it with size, speed, and rim pressure. But there is a deeper narrative here. Giannis and Luka wouldn't just be another duo. They would be the most dominant European tandem in history. Two icons who rose up outside the American system, potentially running the league from the top down. Zoom out a bit and you realize the Lakers have been quietly positioning themselves for this exact shift. After the LeBron era, they didn't panic. They didn't chase a short-term fix. They waited. Getting Luka to Los Angeles wasn't just a trade. It was the cornerstone. He is young, global, and arguably the most influential offensive engine in the game. Add Giannis, and suddenly Luka is the system, and Giannis is the accelerator. That is how dynasties are born. Not through overnight hype, but through timing. Luka's arrival cracked the window open for Giannis. That is why analysts say the Lakers are lying in the weeds. You see the mock trades flying around not because fans are bored, but because the math actually works. Cap space matters. You can't trade a guy like Giannis for hopes and dreams. The money has to match, the assets have to flow, and that brings us to the Austin Reeves conversation.
The Austin Reeves of it all is very interesting. If I'm Milwaukee, I demand him. I wouldn't do the trade without him. Do you want to do that? Right? I mean,
right.
That's a tough one, but that's who they would ask for because you're not going to get Luka, so you got to get the next best guy, and that's Austin.
It's not about the Lakers dumping a contract. It's because Milwaukee needs a tangible return, not just draft picks 5 years out. Reeves makes sense for the Bucks of books and their roster, and the league knows it. These massive blockbuster deals are never clean. Third teams almost always get involved to grease the wheels, absorb a contract, or reroute a pick. That is how the impossible deals get across the finish line.
Me having my draft pick doesn't work. I don't control the next three. I'm trading you Giannis Antetokounmpo. Your team's going to be awesome. Giving me your draft picks for the next couple of years aren't doing me any good. Do you have third team picks that might be valuable?
Layer in the timing. The press clips the posture, and those subtle cues and the machinery starts to expose itself. You see how the gears grind. When you're dealing with global icons, specifically the European heavyweights, the spotlight burns hotter. That pressure breaks things. The front office might not say it out loud, but that's exactly why this chatter makes the NBA sweat. Putting Giannis and Luka in Lakers jerseys isn't just building a super team. It's tilting the entire axis. You strip the East of its alpha. The West becomes an absolute gauntlet. Suddenly, every other franchise is scrambling just to survive. But there is a deeper current here. Look at the foundation. Giannis-Luka Jokic. The international talent isn't just competing anymore. They are the standard. A Giannis-Luka alliance wouldn't be an accident. It would be the loudest proclamation of where the power really sits. That is the friction point. Does he stay loyal to the soil that grew him, or does he hunt the absolute peak of his potential? Call it big market privilege or just ruthless positioning in a game that refuses to stagnate. And if this is truly the horizon we've been drifting toward all along, then the uncomfortable truth isn't whether it's fair, it's asking if it was written in the stars from day one.